360, The Answer.
With the power of Tandem HR, you are in the fast lane on Main Street with Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs. Now, the champion of networking, the advocate of jobs, the guru of business, your host, Shalom Klein.
We are all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. We've got a jam-packed week of content and information you won't want to miss. It's a live show. You could call us with your questions at 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. We are powered here at Get Down to Business by our good friends at Tandem HR, your solution center. Give them a call, 630-928-0510, 630-928-0510, or visit their website, their blog at tandemhr.com. So I've got a full studio here, and first up on the program, I have my good friend, Steve Steinfeld, the author of 3 Steps to Your Best Job Ever, Over 40 and Hired. It is a bestseller, and it's a great read. I actually had the good fortune of getting a copy of it and enjoyed it over the weekend. It's a pleasure and an honor to have Steve Steinfeld, the creator of the series, here with me in studio. Steve, thanks for joining me.
It's my pleasure.
Well, I know this is not your first foray into writing, and I know it's certainly not your first foray into providing good advice and content to people that need it. Tell us the story behind the series.
Okay. In 2009, at the height of the Great Recession, if you remember that, I had been doing nonprofit consulting, but I was encouraged to do some counseling for over 40 professionals, mid-career to late-career professionals. So I started doing it really as a volunteer activity. But by 2010, I was in business, and I was coaching many executives and professionals. And in that process, I developed a 3-step approach, which is discovery, preparation, and action. In 2012, I wrote my first book on the 3 steps. Since then, I've written 4 other books, so this is my 5th book, and I've just been contracted to write the 6th edition of this book for undergraduate college students.
So you have a lot of extra time on your hands. I get it. Well, it's a great read, and congratulations on that success, and we're looking forward to following the progress of book number 6, and might I suggest perhaps even a book number 7 might be in the works not long after that if I know a thing or two about you. But the title of this book is Over 40 and Hired edition. So I want to talk about that because we've talked about it on the past on this show on Get Down to Business. We've talked about the challenges that recent college graduates have coming out of college, but also over 40. And that's something that officially the economy has continued to improve. As my good friend Andrea Storrs, many of our listeners remember she's been on the show, have said, the economy has improved for those that have found a job. What about for everybody else? So I know over 40 and hired, that's easier said than done. What are the simple steps? If you can summarize and provide the secret sauce for us, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so step 1 is discovery. It's the step that most job seekers overlook. It's the step whereby you select jobs to pursue that are a great match for your interests, your skills, your personal strengths, your knowledge, your education, your experience, and even your work values. Most job seekers skip that step and they go right to preparation, which includes your resume, your LinkedIn profile, a networking plan, and then you go to step 3, which is which revolves around informational interviewing, job interviewing, and negotiating the best compensation package.
And do you think that there's a bit of a psychological thing going on with many folks over 40 having worked in senior executive level positions, and now they're being faced with trying to get into the job force with competing against folks that are half their age, people that are asking for a substantially lesser salary with and are willing to work longer hours and will cost less across the board.
Yeah, you're hitting on a very important thing, Shalom, which is the psychological mindset of the over 40 job seeker. Over 40 job seekers are very often prone to the kind of fear, uncertainty, doubt that leads to discouragement. Once you get into a state of discouragement, it's very difficult to get out of it. That's something that younger job seekers really don't face as much. So it's really the psychological. When you start thinking negatively, like you start thinking about job discrimination, age discrimination, that becomes a deadly thing, which very often leads to a slowdown or even a stoppage of your job search.
It's a tough topic, and I know that you've provided many of the important tips that job seekers need to know, and unfortunately, you need to have an audience that's willing to listen, and often, as I just suggested earlier, they feel privileged and they feel that they deserve, and they likely do deserve, having put in many years into the workforce. Is this a problem across the country, or is this something unique to our Chicagoland market?
No, it's a problem across the country. I work. Most of my work is by Skype. I work with job seekers all over the country, every possible industry, every possible job, every possible management or non-management professional position.
And what about small businesses? What about entrepreneurship? We talk a lot about entrepreneurship on this program. Do you find that small businesses are willing to hire folks that are a little bit older? And my follow-up question to that is: Do you feel that sometimes some of these very accomplished professionals maybe shouldn't be looking for work and maybe should consider entrepreneurship or consulting at this stage in their career?
Okay, first thing is that as you age, as you get into your 50s and 60s, you should be looking at all of your options, including contract work, consulting, starting your own business. What they face is a situation where small businesses. All right, I have a client right now who's leaving a small business. Now, why is he leaving that small business? It's because he didn't really understand the culture of the business before he got into it. He never really worked for a small business, a privately held business, and he has some conflict with the boss's son. He's actually the second client I've had this year that's run into that kind of a situation. So one of the main things that I suggest to all of my job seekers is that they spend a lot of time understanding the culture of the companies that they're in conversation with, that they're pursuing. The best way to do that is through the informational interview or talking to former employees or checking Glassdoor.com for former employees' comments.
And that's really important. I think that's a step that often job seekers in general, regardless of age, skip over. They just sort of want to jump in, and they don't understand why they're not getting a response. And I think that process of the informational interview, or even the information itself, the preparation is really important. Once again, we're chatting with Stephen Steinfeld, the author of 3 Steps to Your Best Job Ever, Over 40 and Hired edition. And we've been talking quite a bit about the over 40 and hired aspect of it. But the title of the book is 3 Steps to Your Best Job Ever. Steve, you're not talking about just settling for a job. You're aiming to help your clients and the people reading the book to aim for their best job ever. Is that correct?
Yes, that's it exactly. If you skip the discovery process, which is what I said a few minutes ago, and you just start sending resumes out to as many job postings as you can, thinking it's a numbers game, you might get a job, but it's probably not going to be a job that you're going to be able to sustain, or you might be underqualified for you might be underqualified or overqualified for the jobs that you're pursuing, and very often it doesn't work out. In order to get the best possible job, you really need to pinpoint the right job and the right culture. I mentioned that before. It's very important that you investigate the culture of the companies that you're pursuing. Most job seekers don't do that.
Well, that's some great advice from our friend Steve Steinfeld, once again the author of 3 Steps to Your Best Job Ever, Over 40 and Hired Edition. I know it's available on Amazon.com, Kindle, and in paperback form, so hopefully our listeners will check that out. But Steve, I know you do a lot of consulting and speaking. If folks have questions for you, they want to talk to you, where can they find you?
They can reach me at steinfeldcoaching.com or Stephen at steinfeldcoaching.com, and I'm happy to give everybody a free resume review and consultation.
And that's important. The man who practices what he preaches, helping many folks over 40, as well as folks in all age brackets find their best job ever, as the name of the book suggests. Once again, available on Amazon.com. 3 Steps to Your Best Job Ever, Over 40 and Hired. Congratulations on book number 5. Book number 6 will be out soon. We'll follow your progress. Thanks for joining us on Get Down to Business. Coming up, we've got more tips, advice, and information for all of you small business owners out there. Small business jobs and entrepreneurship is the name of the game here on Get Down to Business. Don't touch that dial, Chicago. We've got more for you after this break.